Hello, everybody. We are here for Tuesday Talks. Now, Tuesday Talks is all about getting to know an individual, finding out what makes them tick, what do they care about, how their career reflects that, and what motivates them to keep going. Now, today's guest is a wonderful person that I know. Her name's Maggie. Now, Maggie had a fantastic career in Thai boxing. I think it's called Muay Thai. I might be mistaken, so we'll get her to correct me. Thai boxing career, which came to an abrupt halt due to an injury, a sports injury. And I look at it as a blessing, right? So it got her to take that inspirational journey of self-discovery. And now she is at this place where she is because of that. Let's get Maggie on, and we get to hear her story.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, good
Good
morning,
morning,
Maggie.
good evening to you. A very happy morning in here. Almost six,
Yes,
on
the
only
reason I
6
said yeah.
a.m. here in Sydney.
Yes, just for the viewers who are watching us live now on Instagram or listening to this later on in the podcast, I said good morning to Maggie
Sydney.
because she is all the way in Sydney, which is 6 a.m. and I am here in London 7 p.m. So pretty much it's Wednesday morning for you already there. So thank you very much for taking the time out and joining the 5 a.m. club to hop on to Tuesday
Thank you
Talks.
for having me.
And thank you.
So,
Now
sorry.
I've done a short introduction for you already, but you're the best person to expand on this and let the listeners know who you are, what you do, and you know what everybody likes to know on Tuesday Talks is, Maggie, why do you
Okay.
do it?
So my name is Maggie, and I'm a transformation and mindset coach. I'm very passionate about quite a few things, and I now found a way to combine those things as well, which is amazing. So Muay Thai, as you said, Thai boxing and Muay Thai is the sport that I competed in. I had an amateur career for a few years, and in early 2021, I torn my ACL. And that was like this big, everyone talks about aha moment or breakthrough or breaking point. I think that surgery was that kind of point in my life, because that's when I realized I really need to slow down, stop running away from whatever's going on in my head that I was escaping, and maybe it's time to kind of go inwards and look within. So that's why I'm very passionate about mindset work. In my own fighting, I had many fights in which I couldn't showcase my skill, and that was due to my mind literally just deciding to play tricks on me right before I entered the ring or right after I did, and I was in the middle of it. And I never saw it coming. I never knew how to handle it. I still did the best I could in a moment, but it always left me with this feeling afterwards that something is not right. I should be doing probably something here, but I don't know how, I don't know who to talk to, what to say. And, so I already then started in 2019 doing a little bit of looking into personal development world very, very slowly. But it wasn't until 2021 when I was like, okay, that's it. This is my ticket out. I gotta go there. I already joined Mind Valley just literally like a month before. So I knew that there's this world beyond what I know. And I was just curious. I think this is the most important word that I would like to everyone to kind of remember. Curiosity. It's what can get you through anything. If you just start looking at your life and your challenges through the lens of curiosity, and what can be different, what can we change, what can what does it really mean? Ask yourself questions. And so that's what I started doing. And with time, I also learned that things like non-judgment is very, very nice. Instead of, being very harsh on yourself, my inner critic, especially in the fights, but also in certain things in life, my inner critic was pretty high, I would say. And it's not like I liked it. I never liked it, but I never knew how to quiet that inner critic. how to stop this voice, how to turn this voice into my, cheerleader instead of my critic. So with mindset work, so this is what I'm trying to work with my clients. One of my offerings is called Fight Camps with Megs. So I target specifically Muay Thai fighters, specifically during their fight camp, because before you go into a fight, you always have like 5 to 6 weeks fight camp where you prep the body, you cut the weight. And I think what we're lacking, or a lot of us is lacking, is prep the mind as well while you're on it. So this is like a 5-week one-on-one coaching mindset that I'm offering to kind of help people go through this journey and focus on the mind while they're still prepping. So when they go into the ring, there's no surprises, there's no playing tricks like it did on me. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know firsthand how it can be, and it's no fun.
I really love this journey, and the start of it is already amazing in terms of your what I'm hearing there also is the self-sabotage of the self-critic of having the brilliant amateur career going on, but then your brain telling you yourself it's not good enough, or in the fights you're not being your 100% self just because of that reason, so that coming forward because of that self-sabotage and not believing in yourself, right? So which is then stopping you to perform 100%, achieve what is achievable by you.
Yes.
And what you train to do, right? You're training yourself for it. And as you mentioned earlier, that when the big fight comes along, you have these 5 weeks to prepare yourself for it. And so you're ready for it. You can do it now because you've spent that 5 weeks to perfect it, and you want to do it. So I actually love this, and here I'm also thinking of coming from the sports, your sports background as well. You realize that mindset is the key.
And I'm thinking to point out just one thing, because when we talk about self-critic and the saboteur, I just want to point out that it's not like I knew it all along. It's not like I was sabotaging myself during my fight camp, for example. I was always excited about every fight camp, putting 100% or 110. So it wasn't like I was sabotaging myself during that process. So I think it's important, because what happens, what I know now, which I didn't know then, is, we tend to lie to ourselves, right? We tend to pretend that we are one way or the other. And this is a tactic that I've used probably. If I didn't believe in myself, I wouldn't even explore the thought of not believing in myself, because that immediately I would attach a story that if I don't think I'm good enough, then how I'm gonna, I knew that it's gonna ruin my fight. So, but instead of actually exploring and thinking, why do I think so? What can I do with it? I would just escape that thought altogether successfully for all this time. And then whether this was this thought or something else that was happening in my life, or something literally from the past that would like somehow all of a sudden influence me at that very moment, I didn't understand much. Now in hindsight, I understand a lot why it happened, how it happened. It makes all the sense as well. And that's connected with me really not admitting what I need to look at, not being strong. Now I see it as, I think it's strong, it's bravery for you to go into your deepest thoughts and insecurities and unpack them and figure out why it is, because there's always a reason why you think a certain way. But we're just very scared to go there, because we then attach the story. What does it mean about us? What are people going to say? Oh, I'm not all of a sudden going to be this different person than people know me as. So we just stop ourselves from this exploration because of that fear. Whether we admit it out loud or not, it's always a fear of something. So I'm really like, people just should go there, just go there. Like whatever you find, it's better than this lie that you're telling yourself, or this escapism that you've mastered probably by now. I promise you, whatever is at the end of that exploration is much better. And that's where the freedom lies. That's when you can just be who you are, do what you want. That's where all the ideas come. I wouldn't be even a coach if I didn't start exploring. I didn't know I want to be a coach 2 years ago. It came organically through my story, through my exploration. Because, you know, part of me likes to teach. So you look into your strengths, and then you start seeing your strengths as the gifts. And then you're excited about sharing your gifts with the world, because you gain this confidence, because now you understand your limitations, where they came from. You may be overcome or still working on overcoming them, because it's not like you have to overcome everything to be someone. You can still be in process. I think like it's the process till we die, really. There's always something we can level up with, right? So yeah, it's a beautiful journey. I really very passionate about self-exploration and looking into your mind and learning how to be in control of it rather than the other way around.
I really love this journey that you've just, sharing here with us now. And what comes to my mind is to maybe, if you're able to expand a little bit more onto the pivotal moment that got you to say, oh, what was that pivotal moment for you? Then
so it was,
you turned and you said, this is what I'm going to start
so that was, funnily enough, it was literally on the day of my surgery. I went to the hospital to have the surgery. Surgery was, obviously I was out, so it was like 4 hours, and then I woke up, and then I had to spend the night in the hospital. And all of a sudden this, I was excited, but there was this fear inside of me. I'm from Poland. I live on my own. My family is in Europe, and I had this thought that, oh my God, like what's going to happen now? What if I can't make it? What if it's going to be hard? And, I have trouble asking people for help, or I used to. I'm better at it, much better at it now. But back in the day, I was the person that, I'm going to be helping others. I can always suck it up and move on to another project, or just forget about the issue or whatever. I had plenty of coping mechanisms that I've developed over the years, mastered them all. But so in that moment, I was like, what's going to happen now? Now I can't move. Now I'm in pain. Now I'm going to have to change my ways. And then I also had this epiphany. I had like this inner knowing that I'm going to write a book. It literally just came to me. And I think because I was on those drugs from the hospital, morphine later as well, I was just so excited. I was like, yes, I'm going to go into Mind Valley. I'm going to learn all the quests. I'm going to write a book. I don't know about what, but I'm going to just explore, because I had all this time on my hands that normally I was out of my house for like 13, 14 hours a day. And all of a sudden I need to be at home all the time. Maybe I have 1 hour that I'm going to leave because it's, So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this time? I'm not a person that likes to be bored and not do anything. So once I had this idea with the book, I also had I knew that Mind Valley is probably, I just started doing live book as well. So I think my brain already had this, the vision of 12 categories in your life. So I think that helped me tremendously not to have a panic attack at the moment, but be just like, okay, Maggie, this is just a health side of your life. There's 11 other categories. There's so much more. I don't need to panic just because one thing of my life. And at the time, they told me 6 to 9 months recovery. So even though it sounded absolutely, it's been 2 years, and my knee is still healing. So, if I knew it back then, I probably had a panic attack. But lucky, I was only told 6 to 9 months. So I was like, this seems extremely long, but I'm going to power through. So I still use the same coping mechanism that I had, I'm going to just power through and do this. But I also added a new thing, which was, let me go and start journaling. So that's how I started journaling. That's how, because, everything really started from there. And that was just one decision. I'm going to go and I'm going to explore, and let's just see what happens.
I love this. And I wouldn't recommend people to go take administer.
No, the hospital gave it to me. The hospital gave it to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But it was administered by the doctor, so it was all.
My message is, anyway, do not wait for a surgery or something massive happen to your life, when you're literally at the point where, okay, I have no other choice. I have no other choice but to give in, surrender, and just do something different. I think a lot of, in spirituality or in this personal development, I hear a lot of people that say that we actually need to have this moment. But I'm exploring this idea because I think we all already have many of those moments. Because if you look back, you probably see that there's been some other moments in my life that I could have made the same decision, but I didn't have the capacity. I didn't know about personal development world. I didn't know that there's any other way. So I wasn't ready for this decision. But the event in my life already happened that could have had the same effect on me. So I don't think we need to wait. Someone that hasn't started yet, I don't think they need to wait for something major to happen. They can just look back or just literally decide today, I'm going to go, I'm going to explore, because, you know, for whatever reasons they may have, you know, but the decision is yours. And it starts with one decision.
This is actually fantastic. Exactly. This is actually fantastic that you touched upon that, because I'm a firm believer of also, you know, starting it as early as possible, because but it's how we are psychologically programmed that we continue going. The society has given us these coping mechanisms because they need us to be functioning and delivering whatever those goals are for society. So we carry on going, right? So I love driving, so I always like simplify things to a car, right? So if you see a car, he was brand spanking new at the beginning of whenever it was manufactured, and you started driving it. You know, a couple of years down the line, it starts having issues here and there, because now it's getting on a bit. Like, you know, it's got parts. So you can now hear. Let's say, even though if you're not a mechanic, but you can hear those like changes in the car, right? You can feel those changes in the car, or like a sound change, or you know, or a little bit of a difference in the drive. That is the time you do take your car to the mechanic, right? Like, oh, mechanic, check what's happening. But when it comes to us, we know we do feel it, like slight change or a knockback or letdown or whatever that is, right? We feel it. But what we do is we just like, oh no, carry on, and then we're just gonna wake up the next day and
yes, we accept
it, right?
the situation
We
as
don't
is,
give ourselves
and
that
what we
chance.
do is we just don't see how we can change it. We give our power away, and by doing so, we really just give our power away to external circumstances, to other people. You know, we say that, oh, this guy upset me, or this person is just horrible, so I can't do. But you can, like, you know, not be their friend or not be there. So you can always make a decision that will make your situation better. But because we're so used to putting the blame somewhere else and looking for external validation, and we're just not used to, we're not taught that we have the power to create our reality, right? To technically we say that, oh, you can choose a career or something, but it's still very dependent on external factors, and you got to do a certain thing. There's a lot of conditions on it. No one told me when I was younger that, Maggie, you can just be whoever you want, and you can, you know, your power, your mind is your power. Your mind is your power. Everything you think will be your reality. So the sooner we realize this, the easier it will be to get this power. I'm not saying it's super easy to, like, you know, you got to reprogram yourself. So it might take a while, because depending how old you are and how used to you are to, like, not giving. And those are also things that can be very conflicting inside. So one of my main things was to, and I think that's what a lot of people struggle with as well, is to take this responsibility and accountability of their own life. And again, that is because, maybe not fear, but this might be because of guilt, or because of shame, or because of how people will perceive us. Because if you admit that, you know, you are this way or that way, then we think like it's a bad thing. We attach the bad, or, you know, like, nothing is so black and white. We need to kind of forget this idea as well, and just focus on what is, and then ask questions. Like, I love asking questions. But there's a great test. I don't know if you don't, you know, Gretchen Rubin, she does this 4 personality test. I always forget the 4th one, but there's an obliger, questioner, rebel, and I always forget the 4th one. I'm the questioner though. And I recently redone this test, and I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. That's why I'm so fascinated about constantly getting more information, because what the questioners do, they like to just, they only accept what is what makes sense according to their brain. And that's exactly how I've engineered my whole healing journey. I went there, I've you know, learned a bit more about different tools, different techniques, different notions. And if something didn't land, I was just, okay, that's not for me. And that's okay. There's so many modalities out there. There's so much things that we can do. It's not one size fit all, you know. And just because you don't like meditation doesn't mean you can't get better. You can do somatic work. You can do, you know, you can do a walking meditation as well. Maybe you should just explore meditation a bit further and forget about the idea of meditation that you have. That is just sitting and breathing, and you can't have one thought, which is, I think, the standard before you meditate at all. That's an idea I had.
Yeah, exactly. They, you know, if you talk to about meditation to everybody, they're like straight away go, oh, I
it's
can't
not
sit
for
one
me.
place,
Well,
or I don't like sitting down, and yeah, exactly, because that's the one they know about, right? And I mean, fair enough, because if that's what society teaches you anyway. Because where are you picking this up from? From the TV, from the media, or other gurus who are telling you, oh, you need to do this before that. You know, I mean, I'm just sharing my story here in terms of I was doing meditation without knowing that I was doing meditation, because my way was when I used to come home and it was end of the day, and at that time when I was alone as well, or even when I was staying with friends, I had my time. So I would be in the room, music on a loud, not loud, you know, just a bit volume, and then lights are off. What that did to me was it heightened my senses of self-awareness of me. Now I'm in the dark, sitting on a bed or a sofa, whatever that is, and then just reflecting on the day. I didn't know I was doing that as a thing, but that's what I needed to do. So now I'm not an introvert person, I'm not an extrovert person. I'm one of those, you know, ambivert.
Exactly.
I just go with the room. I can
mood,
flow,
on your
whatever it
energy
is.
levels,
if it's a loud room, I'll go loud. Yeah, exactly. So I don't need to recluse anywhere and have me time. But that was a time that I just used to take once in a while. I'll be in the room and turn the lights off and everything. Sometimes quiet, sometimes with my favorite music. Put on a loop, favorite song, and it's on a loop. And that's just background noise. And what I'm doing there is just reflecting on the day, or just thinking of what's next. Because I always worked on myself was, okay, what am I doing tomorrow? Where am I going tomorrow?
Yeah,
What's
I think
the
a
day
lot of people don't
tomorrow?
like to do that. They already attach some story, or they're like, oh, I'm not organized, or I just don't know. I'd say reflection is very important. Even before creating the goals, you obviously have some goals probably on top of your head. I think everyone has, depending on where they are in the current situation, what work they have, and stuff like that. But reflection actually will help us get better goals, because the more you know about yourself, the more you can view your past and actually analyze it a little bit. My brain was always analytical. Creative side is the new thing that I'm exploring, which is another, you know, beautiful side effect of healing and being on this exploration journey. Because I all of a sudden realized, oh, just because I'm logical my whole life doesn't mean I can't be creative. For some reason, all this time I thought it's either or, because that's how, again, you see creative people, they're very creative.
That's quite
so
interesting.
I had this is one of the limiting beliefs that I had, and I had plenty. So even the notion of limiting beliefs is very fascinating to me.
It's been said by the society. That's because that's what they want you to believe, is either this or that, where no, you can be both. And hence I say to people that I was doing stuff without knowing I was doing stuff. For me, that I thought most of the people did all this stuff, because I am a logical,
and I love my logical brain,
analyzer,
so I never wanted to give that up. But I'm like, oh, I can be creative at the same time, and now I'm using both strengths of both combined, and that's like you know, it's so amazing. It gives me so much pleasure.
I really love, that is I love that, you know, because what I want to also let the audience know here is that tap into your creativity side of things, because I was I was a logical analyzer when it came to doing my work and doing anything that needed that side of things. But deep inside, I was a creative person because I became a musician. I had my career in bands, played the guitar, and it was successful and all that stuff, toured the world and things like that. So that came with me just throwing myself in creativity and creating the music and arts and all that stuff. I had photography side of the as well. So that's all that. But then if I'm in a corporate world, I am there an analyzer, data scientist, and all that stuff. I can read spreadsheets and get to
and
your graph.
Usually
And
what
read
happens
the
is
pie
when
chart
you're
and all
like
that stuff,
good
right?
in your corporate job, then you kind of then forget about the creativity or think like, oh, hold on a minute, I'm really good here, so maybe this is what I should be doing. And then you just completely dismiss the other part instead of looking for how can I bring both of them into something, like maybe create a different career. Like we live in the times that we literally, you can come up with a career that hasn't existed yet, and you might be successful if you bring your authenticity with it, if you use your gifts. It's a really beautiful time to be living in. And I wanted to kind of come back to what you said about your meditation and now realizing, and I think that's why reflection is so important, because if you look back, you probably will realize that there's plenty of things that you've already been doing, mindfulness, or that you're so resisting at the moment because it's not for you, but you actually already been doing a little bit here and there. You just need to sit and but yeah, it requires some form of reflection, whether it's through sitting and listening to your own thoughts, or journaling is really one of my favorite tools, because it allows you to explore. Sometimes when you're just in your mind and your thoughts, you can get upset, you can get like, you know, they can rattle you, let's say. But if you're on paper, obviously there's some emotions that come up as well. I journaled and cried so many times, but it's kind of easier because you let it out of your body, so you actually give an outlet to your emotions so they can leave your body. The emotions, the thoughts, they need to leave your body. If you keep them, they'll stay there. They might get quiet for a bit, but they will then brew and brew the more you resist giving them some light. And journaling is like this. I see journaling as the safe space that I can just go say whatever I want to say, even if I'm uncomfortable with it. I've taught myself anything can be taught. That's another big lesson, you know, like you can never ever say it's not for me. How do you know it's not for you? Unless you tried and like practice it for like a year or two, and then you know it's not for you, then fair enough, or certain things. But if you haven't really even tried and you just have this notion about yourself that I'm not gonna like it, then you just, you know, you're just giving up without even trying. There's so many different modalities, every single thing as well, that we can just explore. You can make it your own. The way I journal may be different to the way you journal, and both are okay, because what is important is how you feel, how the fact that you are reflecting, the fact that you giving light to your emotions and to your thoughts, you exploring who you are. And so, you know, so this is journaling is an exploration journey, because
that's fantastic there, you know, because it's bringing up a question to ask you now is, you know, if you can now make us aware of, you know, so there was a version 1.0 Maggie, and now you're version 2.0, maybe you're 4.0, I don't know. So what was the previous Maggie routine compared to what you're doing now? You know, what you're doing now, is it working? Obviously, take us through the best routine that you created for yourself, and it's like fantastically working for you.
Maggie 1.0, I don't think she had a routine. I'm going to talk about maybe even before my journey with Muay Thai, because my routine making and habits slowly started with my routine with Muay Thai. It was very closely connected with my journey. Even before I started fighting, I would have some training, you know, started with once a week, then twice a week, then 3 times before my body was good enough, because I didn't have any prior. I started in my mid-20s and I had zero any athletic experience before, so my body needed some time to be able to handle more than few Muay Thai sessions in a week. So, you know, I used to drink a lot. I used to be a heavy drinker since like I was 15 or something. Hope my mom's not listening. And she knew though. But you know, like, so I had completely escaping. I think my routine, the only routine that I had back then was, yeah, turning into alcohol and escaping my thoughts. Now I understand it was kind of like, you know, some sort of coping mechanism, because what alcohol gave me was this quieting the mind. This was the only time I could escape the thoughts, the drama of the life, you know, anything that was happening in my world that I was upset with, or somehow didn't know how to handle. When you're drunk, those things disappear. At least the way I was drinking, they were disappearing. So you could probably make it worse as well. But, you know, that was partying, that was just escaping, and never ever looking at myself on a deeper level, reflecting on anything. I think when you're young, you don't really want to reflect on anything, because you think you have all this life ahead of you. So why would you reflect on anything? But there's already stuff that we can be reflecting on even as teenagers. The age doesn't really matter here. I mean, as long as you're like a teenager, I'd say maybe earlier is a bit too early because your brain is not as developed. But from teenage years, you can definitely, you know, find some self-reflection and learn from yourself, from your own thoughts, from your actions. So then with Muay Thai, I started, the drinking literally just dropped off because I found something better, and I was like, oh, I can do this instead. And it kind of quieted my mind as well. I just also didn't realize it at the time. So like you didn't realize with your meditation, I didn't realize for years what Muay Thai is doing to me. But I stopped drinking. I was much better friend. You know, I started opening up as well, sharing like any problems or whatever. Like all those changes started with me doing Muay Thai because, well, I don't know. One, because it's a healthy way of expressing. It's an outlet as well. So if you're stressed, you come, you punch a bag, or you even if you do it in a fun way, even if you don't have those thoughts at the time, because like, I never was like, I would go and I would be angry when I'm training. The second I came into the gym, all the anger, anything that I had would just disappear. And I would just be in this oasis. I was like, okay, here we're having fun and I'm going to do it. So it was just like this meditative state for me that I can just, again, escape. And, but, you know, escape is one part, but then you kind of want to reflect on as well. So journaling is something that I've only introduced since I had this idea of writing a book. And I've learned that this is part of writing as well, you know, just exploring your thoughts. And usually people actually write books. If it's a memoir or something, you will write it from journaling. You will take, because you kind of put your heart out on the page. Yeah. And the more I started doing it, the more I realized that, you know, the day-to-day is better. It's like I'm lighter. I'm less stressed, I'm less anxious, I'm more open to asking those questions, what's going on, why. I was so curious when I started exploring, because all of a sudden I looked at some parts of my life. You know, when I was a teenager, I like written all the stuff, not all of it will be in my book, but I like, kind of went through all my biggest memories. And I was fascinated how I see it differently now than from what I remember. We tend to not do this. We tend to not go back to the past. We just remember it in one way and that's it. I would encourage everyone to look at what they did when they were a teenager from the way they are right now, because you're going to see it in a different light. You're going to see things that you haven't seen then. You're going to realize already that you've done so much that you're not even giving yourself credit for. So that's one way to stop that inner critic as well, because you're going to realize that, oh, actually, I have way more accomplishments than I care to admit on a daily basis.
I love that. So journaling obviously 100% is working for you. Is there like a morning routine that you adapt as well? You know,
it's
I know
not
today
massive.
you've woken up early.
Yeah, it's not massive. But yeah,
early?
I do wake up early. So I go to bed usually between 10 and 11. And I wake up naturally. I mean, today was the day that my alarm woke me up for this chat. But normally, I honestly wake up always before my alarm even goes off. So obviously no phone in the morning. It's a massive thing that we all, and I sometimes ignore it as well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not this saint that never looks at their phone in the morning. It's a process, but generally speaking, I tend not to. And I think it's very important. So whatever it is, the morning routine that you're doing, just make sure you don't check the phone. So the reason behind it is so that you choose yourself in the morning. So whatever you do is just you. Even if it's 5 minutes of meditation and that's it, because then your family wakes up, you have kids or whatever, doesn't matter. You can always find 5 minutes. Just wake up 5 minutes early before anyone else wakes up in your household and do something for yourself. You can even be mindful when you brush your teeth, you know. So like sometimes I tell myself in the mirror that I love myself when I brush my teeth, which is just because mirror work is one of the very powerful tools for anything really. And you know, so like inner child is another, it's a big topic, but I think we all have some sort of inner child work that we need to do. And again, the sooner we realize it, the better it is for your own good. So I do drink coffee. I write. So usually my morning slot was my writing. So like from 6 to 7. And again, like I had a writing coach, so she taught me that you know, I don't need to have 5 hours of writing because that's very overwhelming. Start small and build the routine. So I started with half an hour, then maybe it's an hour. Sometimes I have days that I would go in the flow and write for much longer if I have the time. But I never have it as a routine that I need to do 4 hours of writing every day, because that's not sustainable. And it's beautiful how it applies to everything. That, you know, so the same with the routine. If you don't have any morning routine, I don't want you to go and do my routine and have 2 hours of things that you're doing, so because you're gonna fail immediately without even starting. You're gonna get yourself anxious about it. Start small. Always start small. Like with my Muay Thai, I didn't go and do 6 classes a week 15 years ago. I was doing once a week for a bit, because my muscles were hurting for like 5 days after, because that's how my body was not used to it. So like, don't judge yourself for where you are at the moment. Accept where you are and build your strength, build your stamina. And it's the same with your mind as with your muscle, as with everything else. So yeah, never what else do I do in the morning? I plan sometimes. So I look at my day. I like to have, I'm new to setting an intention for a day as well. So that I have like maybe even one, never more than 3. But ideally just one, like an overarching goal, so to speak. But I like to use the word intention instead of goal as well. So it's less, I don't know. It's less grave, I guess. You just intend to do something, and you're trying to make that happen during the day. So it's less stressful. It could be less stressful, I think, if you make it an intention instead of a goal.
That's actually fantastic, you know, because setting intentions is also
Yes.
very powerful. So that because it's as you said, if it's not a goal, you know, so you're not running towards it, but you know you've set an intention, you want to do it today. And because you set an intention, your brain also acknowledges it by, okay, it's something you want to achieve today, you want to do it. Whereas goal, you know, sometimes creates that anxiety. Oh, how
Yes.
far am I from this goal? Am I near it? Oh,
Yeah,
look at the time now.
exactly. And
I
then
need
you're
to
just
do
gonna
this.
make
Whereas
yourself
it's
feel
setting
better about
intention
it. Yeah, so
gets
I
you going.
actually, my word of last year, I think, was to be intentional. So not even setting intentions, but just live intentionally. And to me, what that means, I have, you know, so I have some sort of a vision, which is big. It's a big vision, but I don't want it to overwhelm me. So I'm not looking at this. I'm not chasing this. Oh my God, I need to be this and this and this and that. I still want to be it, but I also know that it needs to be, as I just said, little small steps that are going to compound, and that's what's going to get me there, not stressing out and trying to make it happen in a week. And being intentionally, living intentionally. So just every day I do something that gets me to this goal. So even if it's just listening to podcasts, you know, personal development is like, I always want to know more about myself. This is one of my biggest intentions, because the more I know about myself, the better coach I can be, because I can relate, I can understand, I can pick up on certain things better if I understand them myself. And there's still a few things that I don't understand from my past. So like, you know, so if I don't have time to journal, if I don't have time to do maybe other things, I'll probably listen to a podcast, or I will, even my Instagram feed is full of coaches, full of personal development people, full of information that is actually nurturing to my body and my brain, not stressing, not annoying, I have nothing annoying on my Instagram feed.
Not giving you FOMO.
Sorry?
They're not giving you FOMO then.
No,
FOMO, right?
no, I never. I think I had someone that, you know, if you're jealous, it probably means because you wanted yourself. So it's good to understand your jealousy as well. But I'm not jealous. I am excited for other people, and I use other people as inspiration for myself. And if I see you succeed, now I know I can succeed as well. It's very actually motivating to me. And easier to even turn off that inner critic and that voice that will tell me that I can't do it, because I can be, oh, look at Zishan, he's doing it, or this other guy or person that, you know, and it's good to have people that are super successful, but it's very good to have people that are only a step ahead of you or very close to you. So that you can also be excited about their journey. So community is really important, which is one of the main things I've noticed, because as I said, I used to be like, you know, I had friends, of course, but the problems and the problem solving, I always left for myself. But what community gives you is this beautiful space that we can all share. And everyone always has something, some insights, some wisdom nuggets that we also have blind spots for ourselves. There's always been, even now that I'm, you know, so I know that much more about myself, there's still going to be blind spots that I'm going to have. There's still going to be things that I'm not going to see about myself. But you are a friend of mine that knows me. They'll be like, Maggie, you know what you're doing here? And I'll be like, oh my God, no, I didn't know. So that's why it's important to share. It's important to surround yourself with people that also want to grow. Because obviously that's, I think, you know, important, so that you can, you know, bounce off each other with ideas, with help. It's just a beautiful space, and life becomes better because you feel so much more protected, so much more held, so much more seen, and that gives you the power. So it all connects to that inner power that we all have, but we forget.
Exactly, and I love that, and I love that you're mentioning the section about community as well now. So, you know, and how I look at it as well, your community is your tribe, or you know, you're connected and you're supporting each other, you're co-creating your own futures and everyone's future together. So, you know, uplifting each other to be where you need to be and get where you need to go. And that can happen by being in the community of like-minded people who are also doing more or less what you want to achieve. Some are ahead of you, some are behind you. So what you're learning from the person ahead of you, you are teaching to the one behind you, right? So that's how I see the work of the community down there. So it's amazing. So I know I remember you mentioning, so your word of the last year was, you know, living intentionally. So what is the word for this year?
Thank you for asking. It's expansion. It's expansion, the word for this year. So I finally, I've been like 2 years of me typing and journaling and coming up with my vision, and I finally have this vision. So word of this year is expansion. I'm gonna go after all the things. I know what I need to do. I know I need to expand. So I need to let go of certain things from the past, of this personality, you know, of this limited personality that I had, that didn't see myself as successful as I can actually really be. So yes, anything expansive, anything that makes me even a better person and a more aware. So, and it's so exciting. I've already, and actually, which is the most magical thing, is because I have this intention of having expansion. I even made a post, so I know now that you gotta claim it. You gotta go there and say it, not just have it here. And I've actually expanded already. It's only March, and I already have like plans. I'm going to those retreats. I have like, you know, like I have ideas, and I still go towards them. I still need to do the work, of course, but it's somehow easier because I have given myself permission to dedicate this year to expansion. So that inner critic is kind of quieter right now because I said expansion, so you go there. I don't need to listen to you. I'm focusing on this, and this is my goal. This is my intention for this year. So I love the give yourself award. The previous years, it was more. I figured out the word after the year happened, but this year, in this year, at the beginning, I was like, I'm gonna choose a word, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go
you're setting the
outside of
destination,
my
basically.
comfort
You're
zone.
setting your
And
destination.
to be honest with you, when I said that expansion,
Yeah.
I was a little, you know, Maggie, how dare you say it? But now I'm like, yes,
yeah.
let's go. Like, we're expanding.
Because the expansion, the word itself is quite big anyway, because it's huge, right? So it can be as big as you want, or as limited as you want, right? So when you're saying, yeah, I want to, now the word is expansion, I need to expand, I want to be expansive, right? Wherever that
so
takes
you
me,
don't
right?
want to choose like a limiting word. You want to choose a
that
word
allows your
that
mind
is
to grow.
actually, there can be many meaning to it. So you don't limit yourself in anything. But there is this, but anything I do this year, so it's, for example, what it gave me, I jump at opportunities much easier without overthinking, because I'm like, oh, is that going to help me expand? Yes, it is. So I'm going to go there, even if it's like, you know, a bit more expensive, or maybe I would think that I'm not good enough to go there. You know, there's still some things that the bigger you go, the harder it is, right? If you've never gone there. So it's not like I don't have any stresses or anxiety anymore. It's actually probably even more, because I'm always trying to get out of my comfort zone, always trying to do things that the old Maggie haven't done, didn't even think of doing. So, you know, but again, with practice, I know I'm going to get better. So instead of overthinking how it's going to be, I know it's going to make me expand. I know it's going to actually be beneficial to me and to others and to everything. So as long as I know this, it's easier to take that leap of faith and just be like, okay, maybe let's just see what happens.
And I love this. So and I can already see you growing and expanding. So that's amazing. You know, I wanted to say thank you very much for sharing your amazing journey with us, and dropping so many golden nuggets for people to take away. So that was amazing there, right? So there's so much in this episode here for people to take away from it. Before we wrap this episode up, I asked all the guests to you know, leave us with something inspirational or a wrap up comment. What would you like to leave the audience with?
To be brave and invest in yourself. I think you know, just don't be scared to admit certain things to yourself. If you know that you want to get better at something, or you're not happy with something inside of you, your body always knows. So if you're contracting, if you know that's your signs as well. So you don't even need to have this awareness in your brain just yet. Your body already gonna know. So if you just want to improve, if you want to be a better person, I'll just really tell everyone to start looking inwards and remembering that the power is within them, and they have the power to change their reality, not anyone else.
I love that. Thank you very much, Maggie, for such an amazing share here as well. And I would like to say thanks to everybody who's joined us live on Instagram, and also now listening to this episode once it's turned into a podcast version. If this episode has created a inspiration for you, or that spark in you, now it's our duty to share this with whomever that's popped in your mind or you're thinking of right now. Tag them along, because this will be left on Instagram as reels there. It will be there left until it gets posted onto a podcast version a few months down the line. But if you've been inspired by any of the conversation that you've just had today, we need to share this, because we don't know who's just woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better day, and we can just create the same inspiration within them as well, because it's just needs that one spark to kickstart whatever they're thinking of to do. So please do share that with us. We should not keep the inspiration just with us. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you very much, Maggie, as well, for taking the time out to join us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.